NHL Free Agent Frenzy is fully upon us. We have lots of activity. First, we're going to start up here with a review of the goaltending carousel. We have several goalies that have signed new contracts, many of which with different teams. We'll get you all up to date coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. So we're going to be doing some videos here this afternoon talking about the recap here from the NHL signings from Free Agent Frenzy. We're going to lump all the goalies together that we have so far as of the recording of this at least. So stay tuned. There'll be plenty more coming later today as more deals get signed and more news is broke. So let's take a look here. First up at the Ottawa Senators signing a newly acquired goalie Matt Murray, who they acquired from the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a 5th round draft pick. They've now signed him to a 4-year contract worth a total of $25 million, which gives him an average annual value of $6.25 million. So obviously that's a pretty hefty contract. Hopefully he can get back to his playing time, like how he played when he was winning Stanley Cups, because based on how last year and even to a degree the year before, how those 2 years went, certainly would indicate that the contract could become problematic, but hopefully he can regain. He's still young. He still has lots of time and potential ahead of him, so hopefully for Ottawa's sake this works out. At the very least, thankfully they didn't give up a whole lot to get him. So we'll see. He could be a big part of helping them get out of this rebuild and take to the next stage here. But it is a rich contract, so I can understand why when the Penguins were having conversations with other teams, why things may not have progressed. Because if other teams knew about this, then I can see why some teams would shy away from it for sure. So Murray signs long-term release in Ottawa. Now, the other goalie that stayed put as well was Anton Khudobin. He did end up testing the market a bit this morning, but did end up re-signing with the Dallas Stars at a 3-year contract at $3.5 million annually. So based on how he played in the playoffs, I think that's a pretty fair deal. I know there was some talk if he would leave or if he did stay, would they trade Ben Bishop? And at that kind of price tag, it's hard to say. They very well could handle both of those. It doesn't necessarily mean we'll see additional movement between the pipes there in Dallas. They could certainly run with both of these guys. Bishop's got a few years left in his contract as well, under $5 million. So it's not too bad for them to have two solid goalies. I mean, Bishop does get hurt a lot, so to have Khudobin there for that price tag, that's a pretty good deal for Dallas, and I think that they did well to retain their star player from the playoffs for sure. Now, the goaltending carousel was busy kind of helping goalies change jerseys. For example, we found out earlier that Jacob Markstrom would not be re-signing in Vancouver, that he was getting better deals elsewhere, and the Canucks have then signed Braden Holtby to a new deal. So the new starting goalie in Vancouver is Holtby, who signs a 2-year contract, and this works out really, really well for Vancouver. As much as it kind of sucks for them to lose their MVP in Markstrom, this is a contract which is going to help them keep Thatcher Demko as well, because he will be able to be exposed in the Seattle expansion draft because there was no move clause or anything attached to that contract. So he will be available to be taken by the Seattle franchise. They can protect Demko. It gives Demko a little bit more time to work his way into being a full-time starter. And I think it's a brilliant move. And it sounds like it's obviously going to be a cheaper contract than what Markstrom's going to get as well. Hope he's getting an average annual value of $4.3 million. So that's a good deal. If he can get back to playing how he played when the Caps won the Stanley Cup, it could be a steal of a deal for Vancouver and work out longer term for them to be able to keep Demko, protect him, take care of the expansion draft. That could be an excellent move for the Canucks. So I do like that deal very much for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the latest that we have on Jacob Markstrom, that he has indeed signed with the Calgary Flames. But as of the recording of this video, I do not have the final details as of yet. The last I had seen, there was word it was basically down to Edmonton and Calgary, and that the Oilers were pushing for like a 7-year deal around $5 million is what I had seen. But at that point, obviously that didn't work out. I know the Oilers were out. I've seen reports that he is indeed for sure signing with the Flames. I just don't know what the financial terms are, so I will update that either down in the pinned comment or in our next video. So stay tuned. There's going to be a whole series of videos coming out here, likely throughout today and over the weekend, discussing all of the recap here of all the signings. But Markstrom definitely leaves Vancouver, goes to the Flames. First longtime veteran Henrik Lundqvist, who was bought out by the New York Rangers, did indeed sign with the Washington Capitals, as we previously reported. We had lots of heads up from NHL insiders that the Caps were signing Hank to a 1-year deal, which is valued at $1.5 million, so pretty low risk for the Capitals. He can come in and replace Holtby, but be the backup to Samsonov, be a great mentor for him, help him get acclimated, and should be a great fit for both teams. It's not far from home, stays on the East Coast. All kinds of benefits there for Lundqvist, and I certainly see the benefits for the Capitals as well, and he gets to play with a contending team who will be in the hunt for the Stanley Cup, which is ultimately one of the main things he keeps playing for, because he has not reached that goal of his as of yet. So Lundqvist to the Caps is a done deal. The Minnesota Wild have signed Cam Talbot to a 3-year contract valued at $3.6 million. Now, of course, so he leaves Calgary. So, of course, Calgary, like I said, is getting Markstrom. So they'll go with Markstrom and Riddick over there at the Flames. And the Wild will have Cam Talbot, which, a little bit surprising. I know I've seen some comments from Wild fans online seem to be a little underwhelmed with all the goalies that are out there. But based on how Talbot played, it might not be too bad. Obviously, it's difficult to say if Stalock will be his backup or if they'll bring up their top prospect goalie into the system or what they do there. But Talbot, it's a 3-year deal. It's a little long, perhaps, in my opinion. But either way, he has kind of earned more of an opportunity. That much we can say for sure. But a 3-year deal for Minnesota. Obviously, Bill Guerin continues to shake things up and really change that roster, which is something that doesn't surprise me at all. We talked many times leading into the end of the season how we'd see a very high turnover rate with the Wild and how he'd leave his mark on this team to try and make him better for going forward here. Now, we also seen that the Chicago Blackhawks re-signed goaltender Malcolm Subban, even though they didn't qualify him as a restricted free agent. They just wanted to bring down the AAV a little bit. So it sounded like they kind of had a bit of a handshake agreement in place that Subban wouldn't be qualified at the $900K or so money that he was going to have to be given on that. And instead re-signs a 2-year contract at $850. And so far we're hearing it sounds like Chicago plans to run with Subban and Colin Delia next year, which is kind of surprising based on how they played in the playoffs, and they could see that Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane were still really, be able to play at a high level. You get Kirby Dach, who had a really solid season. Kubalik, who was in the finalist for the Rookie of the Year. He signed a new deal today as well. You get more prospects coming. I really thought they'd go with a more experienced goaltender. I didn't think they would kind of head towards a rebuild mode, but that's what it feels like, at least between the pipes. So maybe they'll surprise us and come up with another goaltender move later on that hasn't been done yet. There are other goalies on the trade market too, so we'll see. But that's what the reports were in Chicago that they're planning to do for a goaltending tandem, which I personally would find quite surprising. So there's still a decent amount of goaltenders out there on the market. They're looking for a new home, new contract. So obviously stay tuned. We'll be doing plenty more of these, as I mentioned here, to kind of recap everything as the news happens. So stay tuned and give me your thoughts on all these signings down below in the comment section. Clearly some of these contracts will have more favorable reviews than others, but let's talk about it in the comments and we'll discuss further. You're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.